Welcome into the best of the week here on Five Clubs. We're very happy to be joined this week in studio by Harold Varner and also Martin Kaymer, who joined us from Spain as they embark on another year on the LIV Golf Tour. Also, Lauren Coughlin of the LPGA, one of the great stories in all of golf in 2024. And Kira Dixon, a former Miss America, who's become an elite broadcaster on an NBC and Golf Channel. Enjoy the best of the week on Five Clubs. All right, joining me now in studio. Good to see him. He is headed out to go to, I don't know, like 7,000 miles away from here. He is Harold Varner. How are you, my friend?
I'm well, and yourself?
I'm good. You know what? It's so good to see you, and I'm so glad you're still you, because it was about 8:20, and I could feel my phone vibrating. Harold's calling me while I'm in the middle of doing this show.
Yeah, I'm tend to be a little late, so I was sitting at the wrong door, and I was like pulling on it. I'm like, hey man, last time I think I came in this door. I'm kind of confused, but yeah, we figured it out.
You leave this afternoon, you're going to India, you start your season. Look, it was August of 2022 you made the choice to go to LIV. What is the best thing about that decision?
The time. Obviously, I've always heard about when your kids get old enough.
Yep.
You know, like my oldest is figuring out that I'm leaving. So it gets harder, but you enjoy being home. But before, you're always gone, you know, and obviously there's some other things that, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed this, you know, having enough money to do the things that I really
Look, you were one of the few guys, honestly, at the beginning that struggled with just telling the truth, man. It's a lot of money.
It is. I think it's very, for me, I just grew up in a different spot, obviously, than some other people. I've learned that, you know, after going to LIV, that not many people can relate to where I grew up. So I don't need to sit here and be like, well, I did it for this or that. I just think that just be consistent, you know, and I think I'm going to do a lot of great things with it that I'm pretty fortunate to be doing. Well,
I was lucky enough. You invited me to be a part of your 100-hole hike at the Cradle, raised a lot of money. And at a time where, look, you've got these designated outlets that you're trying to impact in a very positive way, but we didn't foresee what happened in Western North Carolina. Yeah. And I know that you were able to put a lot of money in places that desperately need it. So those are the areas you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have a as a person of the community, you have a duty to serve others when you have the opportunity. For me personally, that place has been great to me, just in general. Banner Elk area, just the families, everything you can think of. But to actually drive up there and see some of the stuff, kind of like, to me, it kind of messed me up. I just thought it was way worse than what I saw on TV. And, you know, you have to do that. It's my home state, and obviously the 100-hole hike is a fun way to raise money to do it. I mean, I don't really like walking 100 holes, but
it worked out great. Holes.
I don't care. It's still 100 holes. I'm not a big walker. No. It's a great cause. I enjoyed it. We'll do it again, but I mean, I get about 70 and I'm just like, so can we just like get a card around here? No, thanks for coming. It was so fun.
Great. It was great. It was great to see you around people that mean a lot to you, not only lifelong friends, but people who've been advocates for you. What has been the hardest part of making the choice to do what you did? Has there been some things that have been challenging?
I think the hardest part at first was just, you know, you like to be liked. I don't care what anyone says. That's just the reality of the world. Not some people just disliking it for when they don't know they don't know everything. That's the hardest part. And you shouldn't feel like every time you wake up you have to explain to someone why you did it, or well, you were in this position and these are reasons why you're going to do it. And to that, as bad as I didn't like it, or much as I didn't like it, it actually helped me out a lot. Like, be comfortable who you are. Just be, you know, like, they don't have to like you. And, you know, some of my relationships have gotten so much better, and then some, you know, people they took it a lot different than I thought they would, and that's okay. You know, they just really weren't your real friends, and that's, you know, your parents tell you that when you're a kid, but you don't ever listen, you know, and then when it becomes a reality, you just kind of, good thing they didn't say I told you so.
The perception that, you know, plenty of people have of LIV is shotgun starts, 54 holes, loud music, that it's unserious. I know you're going to tell me it is serious, obviously. What is misunderstood, if anything, about LIV?
I think the biggest mistake is people don't come see it. I think everyone's got an opinion that they've never seen. It's like food. Like you tell your kid, hey, try this, it's not as bad. Yeah, last night I had to trick my kid into eating a pork chop. I told him it was a steak, and he's like, this is good. So you don't know what you don't like until you see it. I think golf is changing. It's obviously taken forever to play, so I think people are in a position where you can like what you want to like, but don't judge me for what I like. Just be okay with it. It's golf. At the end of the day, it's golf, man. We got people hitting in arenas. We got people in shotgun starts. We got traditional golf. Like, come on, man. Like, it's not that like that many people are watching golf anyway. You know, like yesterday was a sport. Like I mean, this team lost by 30 and we're still watching. You know, like, come on, like that's a real sport. There's an amount of people that are watching where you are literally like trying to get as much attention as possible. We're never going to get to that point in golf. I don't care what you do. I mean, unless someone walks out there naked.
Niche.
Yeah, so you gotta like you just appreciate everything. Take it as it is. If you don't like it, just shut up and go watch what you like. And that's just the beauty of life. That's why America's the greatest place in the world, because you can do that. So I don't once again, I don't need to sit here and explain why we should or shouldn't do anything. And I feel like that's what everyone's been doing. Like, if you don't like live, this is why I don't like it. If you like live, this is why I like it. You shouldn't have to do that in life. You should just be like, I don't like it. All right, cool, man. We're not making love to each other, so it's fine.
Right. You did not just run right out of the door at first. You struggled to a degree with 100%. The decision. So how do you look at the tour now? Is it in the rearview mirror? Do you still pay attention? What is your view now?
Well, I've had caddies and people, I've seen around, and, especially in South Florida, you see them all the time, and then some stay at my house in Charlotte when they come for the tournament. So, I've been to a tournament every year that, I don't know, it's my home club, so
sure.
I don't really think much of it. I didn't realize how much other people think of it. I think without the PJ Tour, live wouldn't have been an opportunity. So, I'm grateful, attitude of gratitude, and the best you can be. I don't know what that looks like. I'm just trying to focus on the now, because I played so bad last year. I'm kind of like really not happy with that. So that's my number one priority. Good golf takes care of everything. But at the same time, I'm thankful for the tour. They gave me a lot of opportunity. Once again, I made more money than I ever thought I could playing the tour. So it's just, I don't know, that's the way I look at it. No one has to like it, but I'm thankful for the tour.
Other sports, we know that a lot of athletes get a lot of upfront money. It's not part of the environment of golf until it is now. Has money affected focus for you at all?
I wouldn't say. I think it's just giving me time to do other things. But it's just not because I'm not like I think I can do other things that I couldn't do before. I think that's more of a time thing. When I'm only playing 16 events a year now. Before I was playing 30. I think it's more of I had to work instead of there's no tournaments to play in. From I guess our last term was September till this week. I've only played once, so we'll see how it goes. I think I'm gonna have to grow up as a golfer, as a human. I think you have to do that with kids in general, but it's gonna be important for me to just be able to hey, we're not gonna do this when it's this close to the season. But I try to live like it's tomorrow's my last, because it honestly could be. So
right.
I think that's how you should live.
We've seen some live guys who have histories on the DP World Tour play some DP World Tour events, that there is a re-entry point for some of these guys. Do you anticipate maybe trying to play more this year?
No.
No.
I don't think so. No, I don't. I just want to play.
What about majors? Look, here's the thing, Harold.
No, that's a totally different ballgame. You just totally that's like an international series event, or if I can get into a major, I will be there. Don't worry. I'm gonna try to do the U.S. Open. I'm gonna try to play those.
You
tournaments.
are?
Yeah, hell yeah. Why would I not? That's the dumbest thing I could honestly. That's sometimes I sit there and people are like, I don't want to play. I'm like, you're an idiot. There's a reason why they want all the best players to be in one event. It gets people watching. It's where the money is, and I still enjoy being good at golf. I think that you have a talent, and it's a craft, and I enjoy working it. But the majors versus playing a DP World event are two different ball games. Even not no offense to the PJ Tour,
sure.
I don't want to be the one to be the ruffle the feathers to come back. I just want to play the majors, the live stuff, till it all comes down, and let the people that and the power they are just do their job and try to come with the best plan to figure out how to get back in the majors. Yeah, I would love that. That would be insanely ideal. But you know what? When you're playing the way I played last year, you're probably not going to get in the majors. So I have to handle one thing that I can control, and that's attitude and just being ready to play right now. So.
I asked you about, challenges or things that, the good stuff, and then the challenging stuff. Look, if you look at your last 3 major starts, they were your 3 best in terms of the results. You also were in the final group of a major, and I know you didn't have a great final day in 2019 of the PGA. However,
Trending.
That part of seeing your world ranking go in a different direction, not having that opportunity based on what you might do on the PGA Tour to get the entry, that has to have been excruciatingly hard for you to not have the chance to be in those events.
For sure. At the start, it was, but it's funny. You wake up every day to try to see how high your world ranking, and it doesn't fulfill what you thought it did.
Okay.
I think if people were honest, if they could sit there and be like, what does the world ranking do for you? Like, personally, like, my kid doesn't care. My wife could give 2. I can't use that word, but she doesn't care. But
you
so
could.
at the
start,
at the start it was interesting that when it was dropping, like I know I'm better than that. And what's interesting is like people that are making the rules, like I don't even know what I'm ranked right now, but I bet it's not what it just
not
doesn't
representative of
so, like,
who you are.
They don't care either. So it's just whatever. Like I'm gonna do what I'm told to do and what I want to do, and that's play golf. One thing I've learned, and I was talking about yesterday, is like just don't take the joy away that golf has given me. It's given me so much. And I think for a while there, like everyone was so worried about what was going on in the golf world that like honestly I didn't care, and you didn't want to be rude and be like, hey, I don't care. Don't take the joy away of golf. I love it. It's so fun. I've met some incredible people that have changed my life, and I'm not going to let anyone get in the way of that this year.
The whole idea of living the PGA Tour, finding a common ground. I had Bryson on 2 weeks ago, and he thought it wasn't beyond the realm of possibility that a LIV player could play in a PGA Tour event before the end of this year. Where do you see it? Where is it going to be in a year?
That is $1 million question.
Yeah.
When people ask you things before, you'd be like, well, this is how they should do it. We should play in the fall. LIV should play in the fall. PGA Tour play in the other season. I'll be honest with you, I don't even have an opinion because I don't know what. I think it's kind of weird that and LIV keeps hiring people. PGA Tour keeps going in this direction, and you say you're merging. If I wanted to merge with you, I wouldn't do that. So I always ask other people, I'm like, how would you, if you wanted to merge, what would you do? I think it's going to be more of a partnership, however that looks. I don't think it's going to look the way that
a lot of people thought it was going to look.
I don't think. I agree.
No, I agree with you. Look, they got a TV deal, and that's okay. I think for the consumer, it's okay. They're going to be 2 separate entities, but if there's more opportunity for the best players, biggest names to share space more other than 4 weeks out of the year, that's what the consumer wants.
Yeah.
Wherever the environment is.
I agree. It's but that's funny you asked that. Is that because like I don't have a like if you were sitting there and you said I don't know what's going to happen is there's not going to be enough room for everyone to come back.
Yeah.
I think that's the catch. Like, oh, we're going to let 20 people in. And they're cutting it down on the PGA Tour. If I was a PGA Tour player, I would be highly irate if you let guys just come back in. But then you got a guy like Bryson who's got the gazillion views and has all the time to be like likable now.
Too valuable to keep him out. That's the bottom line.
Like if you like making, if you're running a business and these guys that have invested in the PGA Tour and invested in LIV, at some point they're going to want to return. I don't blame them. If I give money, I want a return on investment. So like, if I know I can make more money with Bryson playing on my tour, I'm going to make sure Bryson plays on my tour.
All right, let me get you out of here. These quick 5 questions. We're going to do this in 90 seconds. The LIV player that most people don't know, but by the end of 2025 they will.
I think Caleb Surratt.
Okay.
Charlie, biased. That's super biased, but he's been playing great.
He's an it kid, there's no doubt. All right, name the hobby you would get into if time and money were not an issue. Well, we know that money is not an issue.
It is. That's what I'm saying. Cost of living isn't going down. I would say I would snowboard every day.
All right, good one. If you could be an adult in any past decade, what decade would you choose?
I wouldn't choose the one where I was a slave, though. I'd say right now.
Okay.
Right now it's pretty good.
All right, your favorite hang in golf is where?
The Grove's pretty good. Quell's pretty good. I have some great hangs. I'm super fortunate. So without time and money and access, those things would not have happened. So I'm super appreciative, because without golf, that wouldn't have happened.
Let's add Congaree. I know that's one of your.
That one's good for the, every time you go there, you just know you're helping out some kids that
Absolutely.
just don't, someone like me.
All right, last thing. Would you rather your wife Amanda have a perfume that smelled like freshly baked cookies or pizza?
I'm not gonna do a mixture. I'd take pizza, actually. She'll never see this, but I'd say pizza.
Why would she never see it?
Because she doesn't. She's actually taking care of her kids.
All right.
I'm just sitting here enjoying life.
Joining me now, a man who ascended to world number one. He has won a U.S. Open, a PGA Championship, a Players Championship, and as I mentioned when we started the program, he made that putt at Medina, which was the moment to decide it on the European side. And I'm speaking of Martin Kaymer. He joins us now from Spain as you get ready to embark on another season on Live. It's good to see you. How you doing?
I'm good. Life is good down here. We moved down here. I use it as a training camp in the wintertime. I used to be in America. Now we're in Spain. A little bit easier traveling for me now, and yeah, we love it here.
You say we. It's fun to cover something like I have, the sport of golf, and to see people advance in their careers and in life. It was just you, and now married with child. What is the biggest challenge to evolve as a person, but also have these other people in your life that you want to dedicate as much time as you can to them? What's the biggest challenge for you?
Biggest challenge, you need to set the priorities. Obviously, I would like to do great in my job, and I need my time in order to practice and do the right things in order to be prepared for golf tournaments. But at the same time, there's that emotional feeling. You want to be with your wife, you want to be with your child, you want to experience those hours during the day and the development of that little person. So, but the setup that we have here is pretty good. I take him to school, then I have 5-6 hours of practice. Either my wife or me will pick him up from school, and then we hang out in the afternoon. So it works really well so far.
Martin, you have seen a generation of golfers come into this sport. And we focus a lot on analytics. Speed has become something that is paramount to performance and success. What does this generation that you've seen come in and establish themselves have that maybe the prior generation 10, 12, 15 years ago like yourself maybe didn't possess?
Yeah, these days, funny enough, a few days ago, I talked to a couple of guys on the range about how golf courses or the golf course setup has changed over the last 10 years, I would almost say. Not only 5 years, I would almost go back 10 years, that you need to have certain distances with your driver in order to compete. The way I grew up is you try to hit as many fairways and as many greens as possible and just wait until you have a great putting day, and that makes you hopefully get into one of the last groups on Sunday. These days, golf has been played a little bit differently. If you go back into the colleges, also the guy that we might talk about a little bit later, Frederick Kjetrup, who joined my team for this year, they have different ball speeds, they have a different way of fitness training, all those things. And I find it extremely inspiring because I know what I have done and how I learned the game of golf. But now is also the time to learn something different and to go with the times and try to squeeze out, a couple more yards here and there in order to compete in the big events.
You mentioned your team. This show, I want people to believe that we're covering the game of golf globally. We had Harold Varner in studio yesterday. We had Bryson on the show a couple of weeks ago. You're wearing the logo, a rebranded logo for your team, the Clique. So you're trying to understand, how to market and advance team golf. What have you learned about what the consumer wants in terms of consuming golf, whether it be in person or on television? And now you've got Live Golf with a new TV deal. What does a consumer want based on what you're hearing?
I do believe entertainment is number one. Quickness, that you don't need to spend 6, 7, 8 hours on the golf course. So I think the combination out of Live Golf, also TGL, they are trying to get into the more modern, entertaining way of playing golf. So all tours, I think they're benefiting each other right now. And I do, when people say, When are the tours getting together? I don't think if they should get together, because the way it sounds and works out right now, I think the fans have pretty much what they want. But I do agree with that the best players in the world should come together more often. So the youth and the more modern way of playing golf is also being approached over the last 2-3 years. So I think where the game of golf is going, I see it more positive. But obviously, a few things needs to be worked out. But once everything is worked out, I think we pretty much cover everything for young people, for more traditional people. And I do enjoy where I play. I watch a little bit of the TGL. I think it's a good product as well. So I think we cover all bases at the moment.
You know, Martin, it's interesting. You said, you know, I don't know necessarily that they need to come together, but you also added that the best players in terms of an entry point for LIV players or PGA Tour players to have space on either tour. When you joined LIV, did you have a thought as to where things would be 3, 4, 5 years out? What was your feeling about what ultimately the landscape would look like?
I think no one could really have that kind of idea, or let's say we had an idea, but we didn't know for sure. And when I met beginning of 2022, when I met with the people from LIV and with Greg Norman, they had a clear vision, and I believed in that vision, and I still do believe in that vision, and I think it's a great product, and I'm happy to be part of a startup and the way it has accomplished itself over the last 3 years. But I do think that it should be a way for, it doesn't matter on what tour you play, there should be a way to enter major championships and maybe even add a couple events during the year that everybody, let's say the best or the top 50 players, top 20 players sometimes only, would play the tournament against each other, because this is what the fans want to see, I guess. You know, the best players in the world. This is inspiring, and this is pure entertainment, because then there's going to be some rivalries, you know, PGA Tour against LIV and the European Tour in there. So this is, I guess, what people want to see. How you're going to do it, you know, this is a different point.
You know, Martin, it's interesting. I think that there is an opportunity for LIV players and PGA Tour players, and you got to figure out exactly when you're going to do it, to pit them in a good way against each other. I think there's an appetite for that. I think that people, and again, if you want to say, well, it's a knockoff of the Ryder Cup, look, there are knockoffs of a lot of stuff, and that's the finest form of flattery. Do you think that there is an appetite, like I do, for an event like that?
Absolutely, because this is drama. You know, this is what people want to see. I don't think you should get rid of the Ryder Cup, because this is a beautiful event. It has so much history, and people love that event. Not only us players, but also the fans and the audience. But there's definitely a possibility and an opening for a little bit more drama and personal, let's say, personal drama. Because, you know, we got some of the PGA Tour players, some of the LIV players, you know, there was some controversy over the last 3-4 years, and this is what people want to see. But in the end of the day, you know, we should all take it with a bit of humor, because we really do, in the end of the day, we just play a game.
I'm going to use the word disappointing. You tell me if it's not an accurate word. I think you've expressed in the past some disappointment about the way you and some others were portrayed when you made the choice. Do you feel like that, like those things are healing, whether it be things you heard from other players? Do you feel like there is a space now for all of you to kind of go, okay, let's get past the hurt feelings and move forward collectively?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was disappointed. I was a little bit surprised about certain reactions. But then on the other hand, you know, it's quite normal that you would like to protect what you achieved over the last 50, 60 years. It's quite normal. But you also need to respect for people for their decisions. And once you have done the decisions, as players, we also need to live with the consequences. So you can't have it all. And I believe when you make a decision, you stick to it, and you take care of your own stuff. You don't talk bad about other people. You shouldn't judge other people, and you should not have an opinion on something that you have never experienced. When a lot of people, they told me their opinion about live, but they've never really been to an event to experience it. So this I have difficulties taking serious then. But in general, I do believe everything is smoothing out. Everybody wants to come back to the game of golf and wants to play the big events and wants to do a right for the game. And I do believe that we're going to get closer. But people shouldn't take things too personal. And then sooner or later it will be worked out.
Let me ask you about you, because all the things that you've done, everybody has ebbs. And I was listening to Tom Brady last week talk about confidence. And he said that some people possess confidence without needing the achievement first. Was that you?
You mean back in the day?
Yeah, yes, at any point, whether it was when you were 16 or 18 or 20, his point was, is you can see with some people, it needs to be self-fulfilling, that they need to experience those moments to have that true belief. Did you have that belief before you had that first big moment like you did at Whistling Straits?
It's interesting. I didn't know that I can do it, but through all the practice and all the hard work and just enjoying what I've been doing, success will come automatically, in my opinion. If you have a passion for it and you have a big heart for the game that you play, and obviously you do need a little bit of luck here and there as well, but I do believe success is not avoidable if you do the right things. And I've done a lot of things right in my career, but also you need to understand that if you come out fresh, you don't have any scar tissues, right? So you don't know bad experiences, you don't know bad breaks yet. They come over time when you do play a sport, and that is sometimes a bit tricky to recover from those scar tissues. When you come out new, when I won the PGA Championship, I didn't have any scar tissues. I never really lost in the playoff. I haven't played a Ryder Cup yet, where I could have failed miserably. Those bad experiences I never had. So it was all new, it was all exciting. And now, playing the game for over 15, 18 years as a professional, you do have your scar tissues, but this is the beauty of the game, to come back from that, learn from that, and become an even more solid and confident player, because you do know what you're capable of doing.
Martin, it's interesting, that term, which people who cover the sport like myself, we toss it around. And it's not really associated with many other sports, including individual sports. I want to ask you about, not only you, but you played 9 holes, I think it was Wednesday of the U.S. Open with Rory, on the eve of that U.S. Open, which you won at Pinehurst in 2014 in a walk. He has that now. How does scar tissue manifest itself in the middle of the arena?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. When I played with Rory on Wednesday evening, we played the front 9. We had a great time. We talked a little bit about 2014 and about a bunch of other stuff. And obviously, we both had our scar tissues from certain experiences where we should have won a tournament and we haven't. But you cannot be only focused on that, because this is part of a sport. You cannot be successful every single year, every tournament that you play. So the way he played golf, those 9 holes, I truly did believe that he will be there on Sunday afternoon, and he was. So scar tissues are part of our job. As an athlete, you can't avoid them. It's just the matter of how you recover from them. And this is quite personal and quite intimate. Everybody treats that differently.
I mentioned ebbs and flows. You've had the ebbs, and then you got back into a flow state. What is that like, to break back through that vortex? Like, after you won the PGA, there was a lull. And then there was like, gosh, I don't even know if I deserve to be at Medina. And then all of a sudden, of course you're there. And then of course it comes down to you being there on that last green. What does it take to break back through the vortex to experience a flow state again?
I think the easiness of the game. You need to take it easy. You can't force certain things. And in our sport, we want to have the immediate success. We think we do the right thing, and we sometimes expect that it works out immediately the next week. And the patience is such a painful thing, but it is needed. You need to go through certain times, and it's a beautiful time where you're getting closer and closer. And this feeling I had in 2014 when I played in Quail Hollow, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before the Players Championship, I was getting closer and closer, and I knew I will have a chance fairly soon again. I didn't know that it will happen in those 2 big events, the Players and the US Open, but obviously this is a bonus to be successful in those events. But this is what it's about, coming back from some negativity, finding your own way back to the ultimate success again, and this is extremely satisfying.
The year ahead for you, how do you set goals now at 40 that you might have not set at 30?
Well, now it's a different stage of my life. I had success as a single individual on the golf course without a family. Now I have a lovely family, and I have a great team in the cliques, and I would like to be successful as a team out on Live Golf. We have a lovely team spirit. We have nice people on the team. We have a very successful GM on our team. He used to be the CEO for Minecraft, so he knows the whole business behind it. He's a keen golfer as well. And his name is Jonas. So Jonas, he helps us and helps me to develop as a person as well, and not only understand golf, but also understand more about life, people, business, and stuff like this. And this is, I believe, the biggest difference to when you're 25, 30 to an age now where I'm 40. You do get interested in other stuff.
Martin, my late father was a team builder, and he told me many times that there's no greater reward in life than collective achievement. You didn't grow up thinking that you would do something together as a team. Are you experiencing that as, like you said, building a team and trying to achieve collectively? Are you seeing and feeling those rewards?
Yeah, we had a great success last year in Houston where we won as a team. And there you could see that it is not like a Ryder Cup, even though some people say, it's as good as a Ryder Cup feeling, it's not. Ryder Cup is very special. When you win one of those team events out on Live Golf, it is satisfying because, as your great grandfather said, it's a collective success. And this is beautiful that everybody tried to do the right thing for that one thing. And this, when it turns out in a successful way, this is a great achievement. And I also was the happiest and most satisfying golfer when we won the Ryder Cup in 2012. But I do see a very bright future for us out on Live as a team together, because we are trying to develop a team culture, like all the other teams in the NFL, in the NBA, or other sports in the world. We try to develop a team culture that fans can associate themselves with. And that's why we also changed the logo, for example. We did a rebranding that fits more to our personality. And this is really fun, and I really enjoy that, to build something from the get-go and make something what you stand for.
Let me get you out of here with these 5 quick questions. You've spent a lot of time in the United States. Your favorite restaurant in the U.S., what is it?
I would say Mastro's.
Very good choice. All right, the U.S. accent. A part of this country that I reside in, that the accent itself you either find humorous or very hard to interpret.
No, I really enjoy it. Certain ways of pronouncing words is very different to how I learned it in school. When I ordered water in a restaurant, they didn't understand me. If you do more water, then they get you. So I always found it quite funny.
What was the product that you used to put on your arms? You look like you were going to sunbathe at Saint-Tropez. What is that product?
It was just a normal Nivea sunscreen, that I used for many, many years. I don't know why it was so shiny, but a lot of people asked me about it, yeah.
Nobody glistened quite like you did when they applied that sunscreen. All right, what was your celebrity crush as a teenager?
Crush, does it mean that
Like
I?
you were
Oh,
an
well, I mean,
infatuation, a girl that you who was a celebrity when you were 15, 16 that you were infatuated with.
I wouldn't. I was more into sports, and I was following a lot of male sport. So my biggest idol was Michael Schumacher, the Formula One driver. So I would have been really intimidated by him if I would have met him.
All right, the last thing, the live team that has the most extravagant um, likes or things that they enjoy collectively. I think I know the answer to this. Which team enjoys the finest things in life more than any other?
Oof, now you put me on the spot here. You know the answer. I would have said actually the Stingers. That would have been my guess because they really enjoy their lives and they know what they want and they love where they come from. And as a South African, they really appreciate the luxury of being a golf professional. So I would go with them. What would be your guess?
I would say the Majestics. Look, if you have a guy who has a fleet of Ferraris, it's hard to beat that team,
Fair enough.
right?
Yeah, that's a good point. But there's only one out of four though.
Yeah, I
The
think
other
Lee
three,
likes the finer things. He's into horse racing. I'll go with them. I'm going to leave you with this. You won't remember this. When we started Morning Drive back in the beginning of 2011 on Golf Channel,
I remember.
Martin, you went into your pre-tournament presser when you were ascending to world number one at the match play out in Arizona, and somebody asked you something about coming to the United States, and you said, "I like to watch Morning Drive," and all of us on this new fledgling little morning TV show fell out of our chairs like, did he just say what we think he said? Thank you for that all these years later.
And then I got an invite to come to Orlando to see you guys. It was fun.
Listen, it's good to see you. Thank you for the conversation. I hope to see you this year. Thanks.
Sounds good. Thanks, Gary.
All right, joining me now, she won twice last year and had one of the special seasons in golf. Whatever tour you're talking about, punctuated by a special week at the Solheim Cup where I don't think she ever saw the 17th green until her singles match. I am referring to and talking about Lauren Coughlin, who's kind enough to join me now. She starts her season tomorrow. Good morning, how you doing?
Hey Gary, thanks for having me. Doing good. Just hanging out in Lake Nona here in
Well,
Florida.
I mentioned you're gonna start your season tomorrow, and we were talking during the break, and you said, look, I feel like I took kind of my off season before the Grant Thornton, which was the mixed team event in December. What did you do? What did you and your husband do to either celebrate, reflect, and just kind of soak in what was such a magical year?
Yeah, after I played in the Arkansas event, which was 2 weeks after Solheim, and I originally was going to go play the Shanghai event and do Korea for the Asian swing. But I don't know, I was pretty whipped after Arkansas, and my husband and I just decided, you know what, I just need some time. And so we ended up staying home in Charlottesville, and it was homecomings for the football that week. So we got to go to a football game, got to see, some of my husband's teammates were able to come up for homecoming, and just got to really just hang out with friends and be in Charlottesville where we love and just get to experience that. And then, yeah, I just took some time, didn't touch a club for a few weeks, and then started getting back ready for the Annika and CME.
If I take you back to last year, and I know you're ready to look ahead, but indulge me here for a second. I'm thinking about the Ford Championship. You play well, you shoot 64 in the final round, so you get into the top 10, but I think you would agree it wasn't like you felt like you were in the deep end of the pool late in the tournament to win. And then a couple weeks later, here's the chevron. Players can't simulate what that feels like to be in the blender late in a big tournament. What did it feel like?
Yeah, Phoenix, I think, was kind of the start of everything. I had to birdie out of my last 10 holes to make the cut on the number at Phoenix. And then, to do what I did on Sunday that week, it was raining and cold and not typical Phoenix weather. And shot 8 under to, backdoor top 10. So that was kind of, I feel like, the start of where I started making some putts and hitting some good golf shots. And then Chevron a couple weeks later, you know, yeah, it was like my first real time being in that moment. And I feel like I learned a lot. Um, Yeah, I mean, the adrenaline and, the thinking ahead and what is Nelly doing? Where is everybody else? Where am I? But also trying to stay in the moment as much as possible. I feel like I learned a ton. I think back onto the 18th green, that putt that I made in the final round was kind of the first time I really made a putt when I really needed to make a putt. And I think that kind of started my confidence with my putter throughout the rest of the year.
You mentioned, being present and being where your feet are. Can you be having fun when you're in that moment, or is fun only something that you can feel in reflection?
No, I mean, a lot of when I look back last year, I just think about how much fun I had the whole time and just how much fun it was to be out there with my husband who was traveling with me for the first time. Yeah, and just playing really good golf obviously, makes it a little bit easier to have fun, but I feel like I was playing good golf because I was having so much fun out there.
I was talking to Martin Kaymer yesterday, and he's a thoughtful guy, and he was talking about, ebbs and flows. And I saw a quote from Max Homa, and he's always forthcoming about state of mind. And he's like, look, you don't understand. Professional golfers, you hit a bad shot and you think, you know what, you should retire. And then you hit a good shot and you think you're ready to win a major. So there's this psychological high wire act that you're always on, not always, but it seems like more often than not. When did you have the most doubt, and how quickly can doubt turn into confidence?
Yeah, I would say I had a lot of doubt in the off season last year. Um, I just wanted to get better so bad. I wanted, make the Solheim Cup team so bad. And I feel like it was kind of a long off season. And so I just had a lot of time to think. But as soon as the season got going, I mean, there was certainly maybe little bit in the beginning of the year, but once I was really starting to get going and having a lot of fun out there, I wouldn't say I had too much doubt.
When you become relevant, Billy Cratchford said this to me. He goes, most people like attention. Very few people like to be watched. What is it like to feel a level of relevancy that's a reflection of performance? What does that feel like?
Yeah, it's little bit different. I'm definitely not someone who craves being the center of attention or anything like that. Honestly, I really don't like it at all, but I know I do really enjoy playing good golf and showing off in that aspect. And so it just kind of comes with it. But I definitely think it's going to take some getting used to. Just, getting recognized at tournaments, from volunteers or the fans, whereas before, hardly ever got anything. So that will be a little bit different. But overall, it's going to be a fun year and I'm really excited to get going.
It's interesting. You and I've always felt like the guys that know laying up. They make these future bets. They align themselves with different people, and look, they made a bet on you, but that comes with attention. Why did you make that choice to align yourself with guys who get a lot of attention?
Yeah, I think I was just big fans of their work. The podcast, I loved it so much. Their interviews kind of helped me a lot in certain times, hearing Max's story and
Yep.
other players' stories can certainly help, make me feel like you're not the only one that's going through certain things. And so I felt like it would just be a really cool opportunity to kind of get to know them and be a part of their brand in a certain way. And um, yeah, but I think the coolest part is I kind of became a member of like their community that they've been able to make,
Yep.
and at certain events, I have people that come out and watch me that I've never met, but I get a lot of support, and that's really cool.
The Solheim Cup, it's such an unusual experience, whether it's Solheim Cup, Ryder Cup, when the first tee really on a Friday morning can feel like the 18th green on a Sunday. What did you learn about yourself subjecting yourself to an environment that is really unusual?
Yeah, I think, I've heard from so many people about how much nerves you'll feel on that first tee shot, your first match at the Solheim Cup. And I think I had prepped really well in terms of I've been thinking about it for months. I've talked with my team, my husband, my coach, my caddy, Terry McNamara, and I think we just had a really good game plan in terms of trying to mentally prepare myself for that. And, it was a lot of it was just all about making sure my routine was spot on, my pre-shot routine. And I think I had gotten really, really good at that, and I had gotten a really good rhythm. And so I was nervous for sure, but I wasn't as nervous as I thought I was going to be. I felt like the whole week I was just having so much fun, and I was a lot more calm the whole time than I thought I was going to be. It was the best week ever. It was so much fun, and that's what I remember about it.
Lauren, women's sports it's cresting, and I don't want to say that it's hitting some type of plateau, but there's an ascendancy across the sports spectrum for women's sports. People are consuming it more. You're seeing purses spiking. The LPGA, though, is in a transitional period with respect to leadership. What do you think are the biggest priorities that the tour needs to dig into, whether it be over the course of this year or over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think getting us on TV is going to be a huge thing and just showing off a lot of the personalities of our players. I think, women's sport is in a really good place right now and it's growing, and they just need to get our faces out there, our personalities out there, and I think that will grow our fan base tremendously, which will then lead to a lot more sponsorship money and everything that comes with that.
All right, I'm going to get you out of here. 5 questions to go. You mentioned your husband. He was also a UVA athlete, was on the football team. And look, you're a lot younger than I am, but I'm going to ask you, who is the greatest University of Virginia athlete all time?
For football or just in
No, just
general?
overall. Greatest UVA athlete.
I'm Mm, I think if my husband would answer this, I just from what he says, it would probably be Anthony Poindexter.
Okay, it's a good one. I personally would say Ralph Sampson.
I mean, that's the go-to for
Come
sure.
on. I mean, he was a 3-time National Player of the Year. He was Wembanyama like 40 years ago. But I get it. I get it. All right, the last movie or maybe you and your husband saw in an actual movie theater.
Oh man, that's a really good question. I don't know if we've gone to a movie in a really long time, actually. I used to do it all the time before COVID. Um,
It's a very
yeah,
hard
I
question to
honestly don't
answer
even,
now.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know the last movie that we've gone to see, actually. We watch a lot of stuff on Netflix and things like that, but actually going to a movie theater is a lot harder.
Okay, I'm guessing you guys probably maybe this was it because I know it wasn't the last one, but it was the first one kind of post COVID. The Top Gun, Maverick Top Gun. Did you see that in a movie theater?
Uh, I did not. I know. I watched it on streaming once it became on streaming. Again, I used pre-COVID, I was a Movie Pass subscription member, like did all of that right before COVID happened, and we haven't really gone to movie much since.
Okay. All right. What is the tastiest yet also most convenient food to eat while driving?
I mean, I'm a big snacks person. I like chips a lot, so I would probably do some type of potato chip, or I mean, my go-to is probably the cheddar sour cream ruffles.
Nice. Yeah, those are again very clean, very efficient. Put the bag between the seat. No, that's a
Hmm.
good call. All right. Would you rather stay at a 5-star hotel, but there was a screaming baby in the room next to you, or stay at a friend's, but their Saint Bernard had to sleep in the bed with you?
I think I would choose the Saint Bernard. The baby I just don't think I could deal with the screaming baby.
No, I would do the same thing. We've got small dogs. I can't imagine though a 130, 140-pound dog. But the screaming baby, you wouldn't sleep at all. All right, last one. Would you rather take a 5-hour car ride blindfolded or a 5-hour flight sitting next to a stranger who wouldn't stop talking?
Probably the stranger who wouldn't stop talking, because at least I'd be a little bit entertained,
Yeah,
hopefully.
when you're in a car, like nobody ever closes their eyes in a car. Literally after 10 minutes, you'd be losing your mind. I think 5 hours, you truly would open the car door and jump out. I think you picked the right
Yeah, I
answer.
think I probably would get car sick too.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, I really appreciate you doing this. I said this especially as the season progressed. It's one of the great stories, and I'm glad that there's an outfit like No Laying Up that was chronicling all that you were doing, that could, dig in to the performance, celebrate it. Thank you, and I hope to see you soon enough. Have a great season.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Joining me now, kind enough, off a travel day, going from West Coast to East Coast. She's going to play a little golf today and tomorrow, but she's a working lady, and that is Kira Dixon, Golf Channel, NBC Sports. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. I'm great. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing great. Let's get to state of your game. You were just bemoaning the fact that you haven't played any golf. Now, for people who don't know, she doesn't like golf. She loves golf. You get out there at Lake Merced where you're a member. You work at it.
Yeah.
You haven't played much golf?
No, as you know, in our business of covering the game, you get to talk a lot about it and watch it, but playing yourself, it kind of falls to the wayside. So I feel like I'm telling myself I just have learned so much by osmosis and all the observation I've been doing over the last year. So we're going to see what comes out of the game this week, but I'm just happy to be here, to have a good time. That's the main priority.
No, I know you will. You mentioned covering. I'm curious. I've never talked to you about this. You were a public figure before you started covering public figures. What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about the process of trying to get information and thoughts, particularly from athletes, about the process after being in a place where people asked you questions about your process?
Yeah, I certainly know what it's like to be able to perform in a pressure situation and have something happen in a live action type of moment where there are millions of eyeballs on you. So in that respect, I can certainly empathize with players and being able to achieve something at the highest level with all of that scrutiny. And I think that gives me a certain level of, understanding them and understanding the tone and the cadence of questions and the types of questions that bring out a good answer and have a good conversation. Because I've done many interviews, I've been interviewed. We're in this business, so we have our 10,000 hours and do it constantly. So I think if anything, I of course have that experience, but I've learned so much over the last 10 years of covering golf that's prepared me for this, more so than probably that ever could. But it gives me a great, just bedrock of empathy and understanding for their situation.
I think that one of the key things for any of us, and for you being out there, and now a responsibility of interviewing people in the middle of the cauldron. They're not, this isn't pre-round, post-round. You're doing mid-round stuff. Trust.
Yeah.
How is trust gained?
Yeah, I think trust is gained with time and they see you over and over again on delivering reports, and sometimes people tell you things and it's up to you to parse out how that information gets presented, and just understanding people on a deeper level than just, golfer, reporter. You're really creating real relationships out there, and that's what leads to trust, and that's what leads to great interviews. So now, as you mentioned, I'm getting to do these in-round interviews in our early coverage on Thursdays and Fridays with Golf Channel, which has been so much fun. And one of my favorites last week was with Joel Damon, and it was a crazy wind day at Torrey, the day that we had the hour and a half wind delay, and just listening to him describe what it was like to play, and then also his personal journey. That's been a really fun thing to get to add to the list of things we get to do out here.
No, look, I'm a nerd about the mechanics of television. I always have been for whatever reason.
Yeah.
How about adapting to that, where you're this true walk and talk? What has that been like?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I've done so many different versions of this.
Yes.
So it's fairly easy to step into, but there is something to be said about doing a live walk and talk in our broadcast with a player, especially when it's maybe not their comfort zone. So you're really having to set the scene and set the tone for that comfort level, and just to remind them that, like, hey, this is just another conversation. This isn't going to be anything that's going to take away from your round or distract you. We're just talking about the golf. We're just talking about you. I'm not going to be peppering you with questions about like the politics of golf or any existential threats or anything like that. We're just talking golf. And so I think that as the players see it more and more, they get more comfortable with it. And like, for example, last week when I interviewed Matthew Pavon, who was the defending champion at Torrey, and I said, oh, thank you so much for joining us. And he was like, oh, I'm used to this. I do this all the time on the DP World Tour. This isn't anything new for me. He was great. So the more they get to do it, the easier it is, and the more additive it is for the broadcast.
Your range, you covered the Olympics, and now you're adding college basketball. Have you learned something about this sport that you cover and love in golf by doing other things?
Yeah, I was actually having a conversation with Damon Hack, our colleague, about this a while ago. We were saying that the golf media training translates so well to all of these other sports. I covered my first Olympics over the summer, and I just felt so comfortable doing it. I mean, of course, it's the Olympics, so it was crazy, and there was that level of nerves. But in terms of my skills, I felt so confident in being able to interview someone from Taekwondo or trampoline or equestrian or water polo, sports that I'm not an expert in, but because of the golf media training, the golf reporting training that I have, it was such a transferable skill. And, as you mentioned, I just got to do college basketball. I'm going to be doing some more college basketball. I'm doing curling in a couple of weeks.
Fantastic.
So we're just adding sports to the list.
I love it. Last thing, the LPGA. What is your sense of look, they have very good momentum. They have this, leading star in Nelly Korda. When you step over from the PGA Tour to the LPGA Tour, give me a sense of the environment there right now.
Yeah, so I'm here this week playing in the Hilton Grand Vacations LPGA Tournament of Champions. And I'm not a champion, obviously. I'm in the LPGA Pro-Am section. I know. I just want to make sure to clarify that. I know people were confused, but they have this Celebrity Pro-Am portion, and this event is so incredible, and just it puts the women's game on such a great stage. When you're in it, and like I was just in the locker room, I was talking to Linnea Strom and Cheyenne Knight, and I'm really impressed with how incredible these women are and the star power that they have. So it would be wonderful if we continue to have that momentum grow and grow and grow, so that we could see the women's game on the stage that it deserves to be on. I think that there's still a long way to go in that regard. I don't think that anyone would say that it's exactly at the place that it needs to be. But in terms of the momentum thing, I think that, it's the beginning of a new season. Everyone's got a big smile. Everyone's excited, and it's an amazing product. So I think that the more that the players invest in their own product and themselves, and the more that the LPGA can continue to elevate itself in these high-profile events, then we'll get there. But in the meantime, I'm excited for this week, and please no one look at my score.
You've got a 9-10 tee time today, a little practice round. Your biggest challenge today is Alfonso Ribeiro, not because he's better than you, because he's just an irritant. Enjoy the morning. I've had some fun times with him. He's my biggest
cheerleader.
Thank you for doing this. I'm looking forward to doing this hopefully throughout the year. You're very kind. Have a great time.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, thanks for having me, and congrats on the show. I love it.
We hope you enjoyed the best of the week. Join us every week, Monday through Wednesday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Golf Channel, and also simulcast on the PGA Tour Radio Network on SiriusXM.